The following is paid programming.
It's time to talk taxes.
New friends, new opportunities, new partners. EG Tax.
It's Ask the Tax Lady with Esther Gulius and EG Tax on News Radio 930 WBEN. To reach Esther now, call 803-0930. Toll free at 1-800-616-9236. And cell calls are free at star 930. And now, live from the WBEN studios, it's Esther Gulius.
Well, hello, Buffalo. It is EG Tax here. It's our weekly hour on the radio to help you answer any of your tax questions that you may have. Obviously, I am not Esther. She has the Saturday off. This is Chris Fabian from EG Tax. I'm joined here in studio with my beautiful wife, Tiffany.
Hey, happy Saturday. Can you hear me okay, Chris?
I can hear you.
Oh, good. It's a beautiful, beautiful day today, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, what a great day for football. Of course, the Bills aren't playing here. They're playing in Chicago. I was working earlier today, and I saw some text that, is Becca going to the game?
Becca's at the game.
Becca's at the game. Okay. Jealous. Jealous, but that's. I thought she wasn't going to go to the game.
Nope, she was allowed.
She was allowed. This is
yes.
good.
Yes,
and we have a special guest today, and that's partially why Esther's not here. She says there's going to be four of us. That's going to be overkill. And that's Kathy Anderson. She works at Hunt Real Estate, and real estate has been hot for years.
Oh, yes. It's still climbing.
Yeah. Have you ever seen anything like this?
No.
Yeah.
No, 35 years in the business, and it's never been like this.
I was thinking about this about 2 days ago, and Chris and I have had 3 houses in our life, and it's always been easy to get a house. My daughter is looking for a house, and it's on the contrary.
Very, very hard.
They feel so defeated.
Yes, you got to stick it out.
Yeah. They just feel defeated and humiliated, and they got to stick it out. And that's why a real estate agent is really a great compass, because they can give you guidance on what to bid, what to offer, where you should be. Are your expectations too high? Are your desires too deep? And so we're here today. And if you have questions, call 803-0930. Again, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. And the text line is 803-0930. And then, Chris, you want to talk about the tax school?
Yep, we have our tax school starting in about a month, all over Western New York, from Orchard Park, Derby, Batavia, Niagara Falls, Lockport, and Tonawanda, even online. So we have great opportunities for you. There's morning, there's evenings, there's Saturday classes. So if you want to learn what we know, which is scary, ever changing, sign up. It's a great way. It's free. You do have to pay for a book. But, and like you say, we always hope you stay and you want to be an employee.
Yeah. And then also, don't forget, if you have a letter, make sure you take a look at it. There's somebody one of my clients had a letter last week or the week before, and he owed about $60,000 to the IRS. But in 2020, he had taken out $125,000 from his 1099-R, his pension, and he forgot or neglected to do the COVID exclusion, where if you use the money for a hardship, $100,000 a maximum. For a hardship, maybe you lost your job, your spouse lost their job, you weren't working as much, you were downgraded, and so you could do a COVID hardship, and you didn't have to pay the 10% penalty, and you could spread it over 3 years. So we were able to save him, I don't know,
a lot of money.
So,
just the penalty alone was $10,000.
Exactly. And then probably another $20,000, $30,000. So don't just pay it. Don't just bury your head in the sand. Make sure you have us look at the letter, because like Chris said, or you were thinking, I was reading your mind, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, right, Chris? And so putting all the pieces together, it's worth a phone call, right?
Right. And we're talking houses, and, if you think you want to buy a house and you're behind on taxes, Yep,
You got to straighten that all
you
out.
got to straighten that out,
Yeah.
and that's we do a lot of multiple years for people. We can help you. You're not alone, but it is a necessary thing to have because you need it for your mortgage.
And then talking about taxes, don't forget your student loan. I think the interest starts accruing today, tomorrow, Monday, something like that. So make sure you go to your federal loans or Nelnet and find out how much your payment is every month. And I think the first payment is due in October, but the interest starts accruing pretty soon.
Yep, I think beginning of September. So make your payment now. Don't think you have till October, because then they're going to nail you with interest.
Yeah. So if you have questions today, questions on taxes, letters, love letters, New York State, IRS, or real estate questions, give us a buzz at 803-0930. Would love to hear what you have to say. You always make the show that much better, right?
That's right. We can't have a show without our listeners.
Yeah. Were you watching the game before you came?
Yes. Yes. But so with Kathy, we said it's a nightmare out there for for sellers.
For sellers, it's a wonderful world.
But then you have the fear of where you're going to go.
Yeah, that's the big question.
And so...
And I think that's part of the problem is we have all these sellers that are sitting tight in their homes with an interest rate of 3%. Do they want to jump out of that house and go into something else at a higher rate?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
That's a problem.
Right?
That's a real
I
problem.
know if we were to sell ours, like you said, we jump higher interest rates, and we would have to go into a lesser of a house. So it's like because of how the prices are going up through
Yes.
the roof. So it's really they don't want to sell.
Right.
Right. It's the people moving out
Well,
of town.
we all know there's a shortage of inventory out there. And I was just, before I came, I thought, well, let's see. Approximately how many houses do we have currently in clearance? Okay.
Right.
What would you say? This is all single-family homes.
How many there are, or how many are for sale?
How
for
many
sale.
for sale?
My guess is 27.
27. Well, there's 44 homes.
God.
But the price range in clearance, it's starting at $315,
Right.
and it's going up into the millions.
Wow.
Yeah.
So clearance is getting, for a first-time home buyer, it's getting,
You
know,
can't. Really,
it's stretched too
and-
far for them.
Right. Even like Amherst and Tonawanda, I know that's where my daughter's looking. The prices of homes are like what would normally go for 125 to 150 are going for 300.
Right. So I did the current stats on that too. So there's 54 homes in Tonawanda right now, and they start at 139.9, and the highest one right as of today, because there's not that many, is 300.
Yeah, that's what they listed as.
That's what they listed at. This is true. What they sell for is the total.
Yeah, I mean,
Another story.
I know her and her boyfriend put a bid on a house, and they bid 40,000 over, and they didn't get it.
Oh, we've had houses recently in Amherst that went 120,000 over.
Oh God.
Yeah, and then cash offers and foregoing the home inspections, and it's just the list goes on, and the concessions that you can't buy with many concessions,
It's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough, especially when you get buyers. First-time buyers, they don't have a lot of money, and they want to do the least down payment that they can, and those offers are really tough to get through.
Yep. Well,
I think your advice was to be persistent and just
Yes.
stay the long haul.
yeah,
What were you gonna say?
we'll talk more about this. Chris Fabian, Tiffany Fabian from EG Tax. We have Kathy Anderson from Hunt Real Estate. We're going to take a short break. We'll catch you on the other side, and Trish will get you too.
The bills make me wanna shout. Kick your heels up and shout. Throw your hands up and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the bills are making it happen now. Stand up now.
I think taxes do that too, make you want to scream and shout. But Chris Fabian, Tiffany Fabian here from EG Tax to help you with your tax needs. Again, we have Kathy Anderson to talk about real estate, what things you could do to help sell your house, make it a little bit smoother, even though it is a crazy market out there. But there are still different things to do to help your house even sell that much faster. And that's, have questions, give us a call here in studio, 803-0930, 803-0930. Text them in to 716-803-0930. And we're going to go to Trish in Niagara Falls. Hey, Trish.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I have two questions. The first one is I'm single. I'm 70 years old. My house is paid for. I have no deductions. And so when President Trump raised the standard deduction, I got money back for the first time in forever. I always paid.
Yep.
So my question is, I believe this is the last year for that high deduction.
24. Tax year
Soon.
2024.
Oh, next year too?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was going to get LASIK surgery, and even though I have insurance, I'll probably still have to pay about half. But I'm not going to wait any longer. I'll get it done this year. Okay, that was one question. The other one is I'd like to put an addition on my house. Again, it's paid for. I could put $100,000 in and still be within the market if I ever wanted to sell. I doubt if I ever will, but if I did, I could still be okay. I only paid $55,000 for the house. So I'm still within the market value of it. Now, my question is, what kind of loan should I get? What do I ask for? Where do I go to get a loan for a construction?
Like a home equity, right? Kath, what were you going to say?
Right, she could get a home equity loan. But if you would like to take my number down, Trish,
Okay.
I'd be happy to refer you to someone that could really help you with that finance question
Kathy,
that you
right?
have. Yes, Kathy.
Okay,
and
great.
That would be 716-998-4868.
Okay, because I know Hunt does have mortgage brokers.
Yes.
But I didn't know if it was just only for houses or for this too. That was my question.
Yeah, they can help you, and we have 15 different lenders that we work with.
Very good.
And then also, I got one of our advertisers, Jesse at Cross State Funding. He also does home equity loans, and Chris is thinking he's getting Jesse's from Cross State Funding's phone number. I also wanted to say, don't forget that if you do itemize eventually, you can deduct the interest on the home equity as long as you use it for improvements to your home. Right. So maybe
Which you're doing.
Which you're doing, so you can deduct that someday when the standard deduction isn't double.
But you may be able to use that for the state, though.
Still.
Yep.
Okay, because I know once this deduction goes, I'm back to paying. And I know it is because of, I can look at my taxes.
That's right.
And I haven't changed anything else. My withdrawal wasn't changed. Nothing was changed. And all of a sudden, the first year, he gave $1,500 and almost fell off my chair. Are you sure I'm not going to jail, right? He goes, no. Then he explained to me about he showed me. And I go, oh, my God. Okay, well, that was Kathy. I'll give you a call next week and see what I should do.
Okay,
Perfect.
thank you.
Thanks. And that's the thing. No one's talking with the debates going on right now and election next year. No one's talking about what their tax plans are.
Good point.
I mean, it's scary, but either side aren't saying what they're going to do with taxes come 2025. I'd love to see somebody bring that up.
Well, maybe eventually when they're done bringing lawsuits and all that good stuff.
Okay, and then let's go to John in Tonawanda. Hey, John.
Hello there. I got a question about Zillow. I don't know if, I'm sure you've heard of that.
Familiar.
Yes. How accurate are those estimates that they have on the value of your property? Do you have any idea?
Yes, we do. Sometimes they can be spot on, but often they are off, and they could be off 20%. So it's always a good idea to not rely on Zillow, to get a real estate professional out and do that market analysis for you, for your value.
Right, I understand that, but do you have any idea what they base their...
I looked at Zillow recently. They actually have comps on there, don't they?
Yeah, they do comps,
because
but
I saw that.
We also look at the condition of the properties, the improvements, and there's no way Zillow can do that.
Yeah, Zillow doesn't know the inside of the house.
Well, I understand that, but I'm just curious as how they arrive at these numbers. And they seem fairly accurate from what I can tell.
I was on Zillow, and if you scroll down to the bottom, it has the comparables of houses in your neighborhood. So I think that's what they do,
Right. It's a general bottom line on sale price, which is all, public knowledge. Everybody has that available to them.
Okay, thank you.
But the difference is, again, it's the condition.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
but,
right, thank
but
you.
You're
Zillow's
welcome,
very,
John.
very handy, though, for giving
Oh,
you
yeah. You want a ballpark?
Yeah, very, very handy. I know sometimes people will be in our office getting their tax return done, and they have an office and home, and we need a value of, but of course that's
square
not what we need the
footage,
square footage, and
Yeah.
so it's handy for
Yes.
us in that sense, which is really good. And I think it has property taxes on there, and so all very, very convenient.
Right, but it's a great tool. It shows school district. It shows, for people to see what's in their neighborhood. It shows the map of the neighborhood.
Yeah,
So-
that does. I mean, Realtor.com is also another
But
good tool.
like that caller before, that gentleman who was doing an improvement to their house, they don't know about those improvements and those
Right.
modifications and the upgrades that you've done, and so they just don't have an idea
Like
of
I
that.
was telling Chris, I had an appointment this morning on a house that's completely gutted on the inside. So you can't use Zillow for that one.
Right. You're like, oh, there's no electricity. Did they have plumbing?
No,
Oh, they're
Wow.
going to do it all. Yeah, yeah.
it's a rehab. So
Wow.
any listeners out there that want a project, give me a call.
But okay, speaking of rehab and houses, what is like if somebody redoes their kitchen? Is it a good return of investment? What's a good return of investment? What's a waste of money?
Well, kitchen and bathrooms always are a good investment. Always. You can't go wrong.
Okay.
And plus, you get the enjoyment of them.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
That's very true. Going back to my daughter, Chris had a point that we were talking about on the break, and they were talking about her and her boyfriend, what to put down. And so Chris was like, you might want to put 20% down, because on a conventional mortgage, the PMI is not there when you put more than 20% down. And so that's something important. And that's what a real estate professional knows. They know all those ins and outs and things like that. FHA mortgages are still, what limit, if somebody's out there listening, can they get an FHA up to what dollar amount of house?
Oh, it's pretty high.
Pretty high?
It's very high. So that's not the problem. Usually with people, it's what they qualify for, and FHA was designed to help the people that don't have a lot of money, so it's only 3.5% down. And they're mostly first-time buyers that are using that program.
And that's a lot of money now with the
Well, yeah, because of the increase.
right.
Yeah.
Do you find people are buying more and more condominiums nowadays in the area because they're easier to get and find, or?
They're a short supply too.
Yikes.
Yeah, very short. I was just at a multiple offer on a condo.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very discouraging. You might want to get that gutted out house and fix it up. What about building houses?
Well, the nice part about building is that you're not competing with, 10 other buyers for
Right,
that house.
right.
But, the other issue is the price of those new builds have skyrocketed because of the cost of lumber and everything else.
Yeah.
And then we have a labor crunch too on top.
Yeah. Now, do you know, like this, Buffalo, we know the Buffalo area, is this like this in all over the U.S.? Is it like somebody told me that the East Coast, the houses are booming, but the West Coast, like west of the Mississippi, houses are starting to drop?
I have heard that myself, that market is starting to change. But I don't have the actual, stats or knowledge myself.
Yeah,
But that's what I've heard.
Okay.
I got to imagine Florida's crazy. People are moving into Florida.
East of the Mississippi.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Let's go to Marilyn in Williamsville. Hey, Marilyn.
Hi, I'm calling because Esther, I was talking about going paperless a couple weeks ago, and she suggested we go out. It would be a good idea to buy a laptop. I called EG Tax, and the girl on the phone said that we would still be able to pay by check. I have a landline phone. I don't have a computer. I would have no idea how to pay for anything on the internet or on the phone. and it scares me to death that I'm going to have to buy.
Yeah, I think she's talking about when everything goes E or E, when everything goes
Yeah, the IRS
electronic.
wants all the forms to go electronic. They're never going to stop people from paying by checks because there's still a lot of people that do that.
Yeah, I think Esther alluded to a few shows ago that the society is going electronic. You know, Chris?
Yeah.
I did ask for Tiffany, but I was told that she could call me back, and I decided just to talk to the girl that answered the phone, but I don't know if she knows anything or if she's, a receptionist or... I feel better having called you to find out.
Yes, yeah. And so Chris is right. I think society is moving in a direction that they want everything to be electronic, but I think, geez, Chris, what would you guess how far out that would be when everything's electronic?
You're looking 10, 15 years. They can't just flip a switch and make it happen. There's too many old seniors out there who have like Marilyn, that couldn't do it.
I am an old.
My mom's 88, so
beautiful.
I don't think she could do that either. She loves balancing her checkbook
Yeah.
So they can't just do that. I mean, it would take a while to go all e-currency.
Did you say you bought a laptop?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I think you're fine. I think you're absolutely fine. So don't stress over it. Don't stress over it.
Well, I thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a great weekend.
Bye, Marilyn.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Tiffany.
Bye, sweetheart.
Yeah. So Tiffany Fabian here from EG Tax, helping you with your tax needs. Kathy Anderson here from Hunt with your real estate questions. Half an hour left. We're going to take a short break for the news. Go Bills. That's right. As Esther always says at EG Tax, we do treat you as family. Any questions, comments, concerns, give us a call either here or during the week at our office at 632-7886. We're always there to help you. You could go to our website, egtax.com, click Ask the Tax Lady, and she'll answer your questions right away.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I don't forget, I can't see what's behind me, Chris. So I don't know if there's somebody texting.
We got one big text.
Okay, so you want me to shut up?
Sure.
I could after 30 years. I know. I could look at his eyes.
Okay. It says, could you comment or advise on Roth conversions, specifically accelerating conversions up to or above your marginal tax rate to eliminate or minimize your RMDs and reduce IRMA penalties? There are advisors claiming this would save hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million, of future tax liability on $2 million of pre-tax 401 or IRA assets. Background, now 68 years old with $2 million in pre-tax IRA assets, $350K in a Roth, deferring Social Security till 70. Thank you. Well,
That's a good question.
First thing I would say is, why are you deferring your Social Security? I know that 8% carrot is a big carrot, that golden carrot that they have on a fishing pole, and you're running on that treadmill trying to catch it. But to me, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. If you're still working, that's a different story. But you don't have to pay anything back. You're over the 66 age. So, you're throwing away all this money, and it normally takes to age 80 to recoup.
Yeah, actually on our website, there's a calculator for how many years to recoup. And I think one of your points are, sadly, if something happened to either one of the spouses, Social Security doesn't call you and say, hey, Mrs. Smith, this is the money that you should have gotten. And so that's always something to take into consideration. And so there's a calculator on our website, because another thing is, when you're 80, what will your quality of life be? But it sounds like these folks are living okay. They did a really good job of saving, and they did a good job of planning. And so I also take that into consideration, Chris?
Yeah. And most people, though, the nursing home wins. I
Yeah,
hate to say that, but
unfortunately.
yeah. But going to your original question about the Roth, you got to run the numbers. I mean,
What
you
kind
got
of pension do they have? Do they have any pension?
It doesn't say, but you got to have the liquid cash now to pay your taxes. So if you're converting $100,000 and you're in the 24% bracket, that means that's going to cost you $24,000 to the federal, not to mention New York State, which would be another $12,000. So you would have to have $36,000 right now to pay the IRS and New York State. Most people don't have that.
And one thing is their heirs would be happy if they get Ross, and so that's something.
Well, yeah, true, because it's tax-free, but the new laws are for people who are inheriting Roths, they have to take the money out over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the government's going to get their money. If you're going to take it out of the Roth, you're going to put in an investment, and that investment's going to grow, and they're going to make money off of you.
And then also, this makes me go, the new law going forward for your 401ks. Explain the new law for 401ks, Chris.
Yeah, this is an interesting thing. I know Esther has brought it up before. If you are a high-income earner, meaning over $135,000, and you're over age 50 and you're using your catch-up provisions on your 401k, that money, the extra money, has to go in a Roth 401k.
So whenever the IRS is driving me in a direction and trying to drive me out of another direction, it always gives me pause. So I can, and there's been many legislations trying to be passed about moving taxpayers into a Roth. And so this is something that's sneaked in, I would say. And so the IRS, Congress, the government is always trying to move us into the direction of not putting it into a traditional but Roth. And that's because they get their money up front. There's something to be said for defer. And
die.
Yeah. So
Right. And not to mention, too, the Democrats have, I don't want to make this a political show, but the Democrats have always been putting it out there. They want to tax people on their growth on their Roths.
Yeah.
Because they're short money. So they need money. So they want to start taxing people on their Roths.
So, in other words, laws changed. I mean, there was a time when they didn't tax as much as your Social Security, and so now that's not the case if you're working. And so things change and modify. So defer. I guess I would say to this texter, call us, and maybe there's something to be said for diversifying and putting some money into Roths, but call us at the office at 632-7886, and we can give you the true cost of doing this, right?
Right. And we're going to go to Al in Lackawanna. Everybody wants to go to Lackawanna.
It's a good Indian name.
Hi. In 2002, my mother gifted the house to me and my brother.
Okay.
And she had life use. And in 2007... she died, and we just sold the house in 2023. Will I have to pay taxes on
Sounded
that?
like it was a life estate.
What?
'Cause he said that she had use.
Right, but what were you guys doing with the house?
We have a third brother that was living there rent-free, and he was supposed to pay all the utilities and taxes and stuff.
Okay, so was his name on the house too?
No.
No.
It was just me and my older brother.
Okay. So now what Tiffany was alluding to was it a life estate?
Because you said your mother had life use of it until she passed away.
Right.
Right.
Then it became ours.
Right. So, I mean, her name, did she get the enhanced, STAR program and stuff on that? After she
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what you're going to have to go back and look into, because if it was, that would be a good thing for you, because then you get the inherited value when she passed away.
Yeah, but the closest I found, she died in 2007, and the closest taxes I found were 2010. And the house was estimated at 95, and we sold it for 78.
Did she ever have a lawyer that she used for her estate or her affairs?
Yes.
So you would want to ask that lawyer if the house was in a life estate. Or that would be a good place
Right.
to go, right?
Right, because when did Mom buy the house?
Oh, geez. Back in 50 sometime.
Okay, so her basis. When did Dad pass away?
I think 2 years before my mother.
Okay, so then you would have a half stepped up basis. I mean, but the thinking is too, if you only sold it for $78,000, even with the half stepped up basis and everything, all the improvements done to the house, you're probably not going to pay any tax. You have to report it on your tax return. But this is something, and I know people probably hate this when we say this, give us a call during the week so we could sit with you and come up with numbers and run the numbers for you and give you the correct answer.
But I think you're going to be okay.
Okay. Well,
I think
thank
you're going to be okay.
You're welcome.
Kath, do you find that there's a good place for people getting real estate, people who have estates and pass away, or do the kids a lot of times want to move into the house?
In most cases, they're selling.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so that's a good place to find real estate, which is really good. Or if they move into the house, those other kids might have another house to sell.
This is true.
Yeah,
This is true.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's good that he tried to find the attorney that handled it.
Right.
If
right.
not, he could always go back to the town, and they have records, and they
of
would
who
know
the taxes were in.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because it's when he said his mom had life use of it, it sounded like it was a life estate. And if it was a life estate, that's a tax benefit to the kids who inherited it. And so he really needs to find that out.
Yep. But it was you made me laugh when you brought up, oh, that's a good place for people to go to look at houses. I remember the old sitcoms going where people looked in the obituaries to find apartments in New York City. So I could see people looking in the obituaries now to try to find houses.
They do. I had a lady that passed away, and yeah, she did get letters in the mail for people
Wow.
looking. They're desperate to find a house.
Wow, crazy. But we're going to go back to the phones and talk to Jim in Lockport. Hey, Jim.
Hey, how you guys doing? The healthcare worker bonus, my sister-in-law, on her W-2, there was nothing in box 14. The federal income, the federal gross income and the state gross income was the same. She said she got it in October of 22. I asked to see a pay stub. Of course, everything's electronic, but she emailed me what she had from the electronic pay stub. And for that check, I was looking for, New York.
Well, they would have a separate line on the pay for a healthcare bonus. She should. What facility does she work at?
It's a small little outfit, but
okay. Well, she
definitely got the bonus. But I was trying to see, if I could do an amendment, because I don't think the only thing that it showed on the electronic was no New York withholding taxes for that check. But it's really at the end of the year when you pay your taxes, right? So I should still do the amendment even though they didn't withhold New York?
The thing is that you could only back it off the state, and I think the maximum was $1,400, right, Chris?
Well, it's what you got. If she got the 15 or 5, you could back it off. But she should go to her employer, and they should issue corrected W-2s and show
She asked that. They said they absolutely have no, they cannot change what the payroll company did, and they talked to the payroll company, and everybody was very not helpful about the whole thing.
If you got the proof that they paid it, I would do the amended return.
Does her pay stub even at the end of the year say, like where it says number of hours, hourly rate, overtime, all that? Is there a section that says healthcare bonus?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
well then,
I
yep,
would do
then
the
you could
amended.
do the amended return. If New York State comes after you, you could always send them a copy of the pay stub.
And remember, you're only going to amend the state.
Right.
Yep.
Okay,
Very.
I thought so because, like I said, during the year or for that check, they didn't take out New York, but that doesn't matter.
It's
at the end of the year
Yep.
or when you pay your taxes.
Right.
One quick comment on the IRS.
Yeah.
I needed copies of my tax return
Right.
for 3 years, 17, 18, and 19.
Yeah.
I sent them a check during COVID 2020, $129.
To pay for.
And I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. I called them a year ago, and they're like, well, we don't see it's been processed yet. So I thought maybe they threw out the form that I sent with it.
Did they cash the check?
Well, no, here's what happened. They probably 6 to 8 months after I talked to that lady, so it's almost 2 years time frame, I got my copies of my tax return, and then like a week later, 2 weeks later, I got a check from the IRS for $129. They gave me the money back.
Oh, maybe it was like a COVID provision or something?
Maybe they have applied it to your account instead of for the
sweet.
transcript for your copies of your return. So yeah, I just take it.
That was sweet.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe because they took so long and I already called and inquired about it. I don't know, but I thought, wow, thumbs up for the IRS.
Yeah, and just so you know, we could get copies of your transcripts for no cost, but it only goes back 10 years. And so
he wanted physical copies of the return. Though.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Smart.
Well, thanks, guys. Great show.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for
Have
being
a good weekend.
good big little brother, right? That's pretty amazing.
Okay. Have a good one. Okay, Chris and Tiffany from EG Tax, Kathy Anderson from Hunt. We're going to take a short break. We'll catch you on the other side.
The bills make me wanna shout, kick your heels up and shout, throw your hands up and shout, throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the bills are making it happen now.
Hey.
Stand up now.
Oh no, don't sing.
Okay, Chris Fabian, Tiffany Fabian back from EG Tax. We got Kathy Anderson, our special guest from Hunt Real Estate. Get your questions in. And before we go to Steve, we do got another text. It says, Kathy, my mom has owned her house since 1962. Needs major improvements. Should we make the improvements before sale, or should we just list it?
That question comes up a lot. I always recommend certain things that should be up to snuff. Sometimes we have bank issues, and we should take care of them so that we can get bank financing. Other times it might be something simple. They haven't changed the carpet, the painting is all old, there might be wallpaper. And yes, I definitely am a fan of taking care of things like that prior to.
I know that it comes to home for me, because that is my mom's house. She needs to have adapters because her electric doesn't have the three-pronger. I mean, is that something that should?
Not so much on that respect.
Okay.
But if the electrical is really old, it still fuses, yes.
Okay.
If there are a certain type of breaker box, it's a fire hazard, yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I know Gracie was showing us pictures of houses that she was looking at a house the other day, and the kitchen was remodeled, and the some other room was, but the bathrooms weren't. And so, but I think buyers nowadays are like, okay, we'll do that. Some, the things like that they could do.
Well, and sometimes sellers, they go, well, if I put a new furnace in, because it's like the original,
Right.
will I get more money? Well, no, but you might get less money if you don't do it.
Right.
Yeah, because that's what people look at. But let's go to Steve from Grand Island. Hey, Steve.
Yes, I've heard this term before on your programs, IRMA. Could you explain what that is?
Sure. That's your aunt. No, kidding. That is your cost of your Medicare through your Social Security. And that cost varies for individuals based upon your income. So for a single person, I believe it's at $99,000. If you're over $99,000, you go up a level, which means you don't have the base rate. It goes up like $30. And then the higher you go, the more you pay for Medicare. It can go up to an extra $400 a month for Medicare if your income is that high. So you really got to...
And if you get a letter that's saying your IRMA is going to go up, there are concessions and there are things you can do to fight it and try to navigate past them raising your IRMA. And there's deadlines on it, so make sure that you do it. And we do it at the office, and so let us know. Did we answer your question about IRMA?
Well, the limit then is you have to be over what? Did you say 90,000?
If you're single. And that includes your full Social Security. If you're a gambler, it goes by your gross winnings, not your net winnings. So it also may take into consideration your tax-free income, like if you have investments in muni bonds.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's like a certain event that happened that you sold a house or you sold some real estate and there was a year that your income went up, we can try to protest it and say, no, we don't want the IRMA to be raised because X, Y, and Z happened in 2023 or 2.
Okay. Thank you.
Really good question.
Yeah, it is very
Those
good.
acronyms, Yep.
And
when did they start with this IRMA and
long time ago
that your Medicaid would go up? But okay, on your tax return, you can even have a bigger tax on investments if your investments are high. That started how many years ago?
Oh, that was a Trump thing.
Okay, so that was about 8 years ago.
2018.
Explain what that is.
If you're single over 200,000, 250, married filing joint, you have to pay an extra 0.9%. Nope, that's 9% of wages, 3.8% of your capital gains and investment income going to Medicare. So that it just tells you they need help. So,
Social Security, Medicare.
Could you imagine though if they started taxing people for Medicare on their houses?
No. That would be a nightmare.
Yes. I mean,
I was talking to Esther this week. Sorry to step on you. She was saying that her whole life, she's found that real estate has been the best investment. And so, it's a great investment. And so where can you go wrong? Yeah.
You can't.
The capital gains are free. You don't have to pay if you're unless you make more than $500,000 if you're married or $250 single. And so that's if you had the house for more than 5 years. Was it?
You had to live there 2 out of the last
5 years. Yep.
Right. And then they want to know, what's the interest rate? Oh, how is the real estate market that the rates are so high? I'm like, high? High? They're not high.
But the thing is, too, I know with my other daughter, her husband always wanted to rent. He goes, why would we own a home? That's a waste of money. And we're like, no.
The rents have gone way up.
Yeah, rents have gone way up, and you're paying somebody else to
and you have no write-offs.
And you don't after you move out, you don't have anything. You just paid all that money. So if you bought a house and you've been paying on that house for 10 years, you sell that house, you now get that money back plus some.
Right.
And
absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, what have you probably see it? I would think like rents in even North Buffalo probably have gone up through the roof.
Everywhere. Yeah. And if you have a rental, you are going to get so many applications for that rental. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah,
people are looking.
Yeah, I think during COVID they
can't afford to buy a house.
Yeah,
so we have more renters in the market.
You're right, Kath. You're right. That's absolutely a good point. I think during COVID the landlords had to hang tight and they couldn't really raise the rent, or they didn't raise the rent, and so after COVID was over, which we're still dealing with, but they raised the rents, and my heart breaks for people just trying to find places. It's just horrible. Really sad. Really sad.
I mean, and that's tough,
That daughter did buy a house, though.
She did. But buying a double, I mean, how are doubles like even going crazy through?
Very low supply of 2-family homes. Very low. So
it's sort of the theme.
It is. Inventory all over is way down.
What's the average time a house is on the market now?
Probably 6 to 8 days. And that's if you're delayed the
and then,
offers.
Right. What is this?
Otherwise, you could sell them in 1 day or 2 days.
Because I've got a lot of experience that it'll say we're taking offers until Wednesday, and then all offers are done. Yeah.
Right.
So-
They'll have delayed offers, and
Okay.
all offers will be due maybe 5 or 6 days after the house goes on the market, so that everyone has a chance to get in to see it, and then that results in multiple.
And then I know you were trying to help my daughter too. The difference between an escalating offer and a regular offer.
Well, regular offer, that's your bottom line offer. Where if you do an escalation clause, you can say, I'll raise my offer, $2,000, $3,000, maybe even $5,000 over the highest offer that the seller has on the table.
Up to a certain
amount.
Yeah.
Yes. And I find that that's best for the purchaser, and it's also a very good idea for the sellers out there, because I think they're going to maximize on what they're going to get for their home.
And then a lot of my clients that are real estate agents, the agents feel discouraged, Kath. They're like, we go and write up the offer, and no good. And so my real estate agents are just frustrated too.
It is frustrating.
Yeah.
It's very hard to work with a buyer nowadays.
Yeah. And your heart breaks for them too.
It does. I'm like, I'm hopeful, and then I'm discouraged just like they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, Chris Fabian, Tiffany Fabian from EG Tax, Kathy Anderson from Hunt. Kathy, how can people get a hold of you?
Okay, 716-998-4868.
And Kathy has a lot of experience. She's very young, but lots of experience. She's helped us a lot with our houses.
Esther.
Esther.
We should have said her phone number 5 or 6 million times ago, so I apologize.
But EG Tax here until next week. If you have questions during the week, 632-7886. Don't forget our tax school's coming up. Until next week, we'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.